Welcome to the Nurburgring as we get ready for the qualifying race at round 5 of the FIA GT1 World Championship. I'm Ben Edwards, alongside me Johnny Herbert, former winner of the Grand Prix here back in 1999 on a very changeable day. Johnny, at the moment, I'm glad to say there is a little bit of sunshine up at our end of the circuit, but as we look down to the lower part, I know there are some dark clouds around, and anything can happen here, really, can't it?
Yeah, it's happened for many, many years. And it'll probably spring a surprise, probably, or possibly.
Cars already lining up, but there's a little way to go. It's going to take them quite a while to get round to the start line at that pace. There is Darren Turner, who will be joining Thomas Enger in this number 7 car, or replacing him, I should say, halfway through the race. Pit stops around the half-hour mark, depending on how teams decide to play it. It is a 1-hour race, to remind you, with a driver stop and tyre change in the middle of it, but it is a sprint more or less to the flag.
Yeah, basically yes. You know, these guys in that 1 hour, they've got to push as hard as they possibly can to get the best advantage they can. So as they come up to the last corner, Thomas Enger obviously on pole position, and they want to get that clean start exactly like he said, and then get that advantage and pull away.
Here we go then, the cars all lining up in preparation for the start of the qualifying race here at the Nurburgring. Aston Martin on pole position, and away goes Thomas Eng versus the Lamborghini on the outside. You've got Lamborghinis moving over to the, look at the cars behind, 5 cars abreast of Nissan, trying to come down the inside almost on the grass, but it's Engerling, no, it's Corvette, it's the Corvette,
he's gone.
Contact Nissan, cars off all over the place, the Corvette's gone, Nissan spins to the middle of the pack as well, the Corvette leads, and the Maserati is right behind, and it's absolute chaos down at the first corner as they all try to get going again. We saw the number 23 Nissan and Peter Dunn-Breck in trouble. There's the Fred Makovicky Hexis Aston Martin in trouble as well. Absolute chaos, and it's the Corvette that leads, the Phoenix racing car of Mark Henrici, who's got the initial control. Alex Margaritis actually in the car at the moment. Mark Henrici will be taking it over later. Well, what about that, Johnny? What a mess in that first turn.
It certainly was, and it looked as if Peter got it's a little bit like Schumacher and Barrichello actually in Hungary, the Grand Prix, and he seemed to get pushed right over Peter, and he was in the pit lane exit effectively, and then when he came back on, he just completely outbraked himself. It all locked up, and then I think he actually thumped the back of Thomas Enger, and everything else sort of shot off after that. So we've got a different formation now with the Corvette.
Yeah, the Aston Martin still in 3rd place, chasing after the Vitaphone Maserati. So, can that Aston Martin in 3rd clamber its way back up? The other young driver, Aston Martin, actually has come out of it really, really well, because it's gained several places from its grid position. In qualified 8th, they lost 3 places for running wide in qualifying, started in 11th place, and then the rest of them filing their way through. Looks as though there's not too many cars that haven't been able to continue in one way or another, but it's Corvette leading, Maserati in 2nd, Aston Martin of Thomas Enger in 3rd, then the Lamborghini that was on the front row still running in 4th place, Christopher Haas, the rest of them filing their way through that chicane. Right at the back is the damaged number 23 Nissan, and that is Peter Dunn-Breck, and it doesn't look as though he's going to be able to continue with the car in that state.
No, definitely not. No, I think it's damage to the front suspension as well. I think he hit the Aston Martin quite hard into that
Here
first
comes
corner.
Thomas Enger if they're going for 2nd place. The Aston slides down the inside of the Maserati.
Lovely
Michael
done.
Bartels tries to get him back, but I think he's got it.
Yeah, no, Thomas is such an experienced man in this Aston Martin. Very happy with the car at this track here in Nurburgring, and now he's going to, I'm sure, push very, very hard to be able to pass that Corvette, and I think it won't take him too long before he gets in the right position. You can see he's already on the back bumper already.
Well, there into the pits has come Peter Dunn-Breck, and race over effectively for them by the looks of things. Maybe they'll try and repair it and get it out later in the race. It's almost worth it, but it means, of course, that they'll be starting right at the back for the championship race on Sunday in their search for points, and that's going to be bitterly disappointing. On board with the 2nd place car, it's the Aston Martin of Enger.
Opportunity now. I don't think he's probably going to do it now. He's going to sway. The good thing about Thomas, he's a very driver that thinks a lot, and of course it's very early. Tyres are still not up to temperature, and he'd just be able to sort of get close enough, probably on the way back. The back side of the circuit is the back straight, into that very slow chicane at the back of the pits, and I would imagine that's possibly where he will make his move.
Potential outbraking opportunity, but you have to be so careful. And Muka's going for it on the other Aston, and he's got up the inside, and Christopher Haas makes a clean pass.
Yeah, well, it's exactly where these opportunities are, into that chicane, and Stefan did a brilliant job there being able to move up. So he's done the first 2 laps, and he's made up some good placing.
Let's take another look at the start, and you can see the Nissan of
just missed the
Dumbrek.
pit wall, and then he's off. He's just a little bit on the grass there, and then you just see the back end go, steps out, bang. And Thomas was very lucky there.
Yeah, he hit the back of Thomas Enger.
He did, but he got away with it,
Sort of ran deep into the corner. Here it is from on board Dumbrek.
Yeah, it's all sliding there, geared, slide, bang. There you go.
Oh, and then round,
damage is
round.
done. But I think he gets spun and then he gets hit here, so maybe it was the next car. I know he drove. Yeah, there you go. Maybe it was that did the damage. But again, he just, he was pushed off the racing line by the Lamborghini, which probably wasn't very fair, to be honest. And then he outbraked himself into the corner itself.
It's one of the Mark VDS Ford GTs that hit him. So
that's at the back, still at the back.
Gets left there, doesn't it? So that one puts you in trouble. Here's that battle for the lead. And look at the Maserati's joined in, and the other Aston Martin. We've got a 4-way tussle now up front. Here comes Enger. Enger going up the inside. He decided he's got to go for it. He can't wait any longer because they're all getting up behind. And Thomas Enger takes the lead for Aston Martin. And the Corvette now under pressure from the Maserati and the second Aston Martin, with the Lamborghinis breathing down their neck. This really is the battle of the brands. But for the moment, Aston Martin's got its nose ahead.
He has, and Thomas now is going to hopefully got in that lead, and he's going to make a break for it. If he can sort of, the cars behind can battle each other and hold each other up, that will give him that opportunity to just stretch that little gap that he needs to. Little nudge there, yes. So he's in a good position. But I think the second of the Astons has lost out to that, the Lamborghini there around the
Christopher Haas coming back, and Stefan Muka squeezing him on the grass. He takes a trip through the gravel, and the other Lamborghini's going to try and get through down the inside. Frank Kekler, I think he has done it. So Stefan Muka being squeezed out wide there. That was robust racing, but he has lost a couple of places as a result.
Yeah, well, he keeps trying the outside line. It's not the easiest of lines to try and either keep your position, hold your position, and he lost out because he obviously ran wide. It was obvious that the car was going to give him no room whatsoever. He went onto the grass, onto the gravel, and then lost out a further place as well. So the 2 Lamborghinis making 2 positions up.
On board the number 3 Nissan, and this is currently with Henri Moser at the wheel. What's going on up there? Oh, Maserati nearly having a chance. And also the Ford. The Ford got past the Nissan. Right, so the Ford of Neil Jani has just managed to get past Henri Moser in that Nissan. So in the fun and games there, I was busy watching ahead to see if the Maserati had got through, but the Martek Ford there has managed to gain a place. So let's take a look at this. How did he do it, Johnny?
Let's have a look.
Yeah, he was a long way back.
He was, yes. Well, it seems as if almost like the Nissan, I don't know, they look almost like the Nissan was sort of comfortable sitting behind the Maserati, and it just allowed the GT40 to quite easily slip past. Quite a surprise, really. He sort of gave him room, didn't he?
Yeah, Neil almost seemed to think that the car in front of braked early, almost went for it by mistake.
Yeah. So good for him.
I am very impressed with how Christopher Haas is getting on in that Lamborghini in 4th there, just chasing after Bartels still and really keeping him under pressure, not so far making any mistakes at all. Back on board the other Lamborghini Murcielago here, the other Reiter run car of Frank Kekler, which he's sharing with Ricardo Zonta. Another youngster here, Frank Kekler, only 23 years old, although his 24th birthday is not far away, actually. It's next week, 3rd of September, he'll turn 24. The Bavarian, who drove so well at Spa last time out. Look, Benoli's definitely coming under more pressure here. And Neil Jani's got a really good run on him in the Ford. Is he going to make a late lunge down into the first corner? Here comes Jani in the Martek Ford. No, I don't think he's going to quite able to do it. And Enrique Bernoldi, for the moment, holds on to 8th place. Fastest lap still belonging to Thomas Enger, and he's opened up a gap of 3.5 seconds over the Corvette there in second. Still third, the Maserati, the Vitaphone number 1 car of Michael Bartels. Christopher Haas chases in the Lamborghini, then another Aston Martin.
Michael. I was expecting this, strangely. I didn't expect as many, but I knew Michael was definitely struggling, as I said to you, with that back end. So I think he was just trying to get in as early as he could, because he knew he wasn't quite doing the pace that was needed to close the gap with the Corvette in front. So here we go for the first pit stops.
Christopher Haas loosening the belts as he comes down pit lane. He'll be handing over to Peter Cox in the Blancpain car. Meanwhile, Stefan Muka has also come into the pits in the other young driver, Aston Martin. And here we go, driver change from the onboard camera. Great way to watch it as Peter Cox throws the seatbelts out of the way, leaps into the driver's seat, and then clips himself in. The other driver is allowed to help. There are only 2 mechanics changing wheels while this is all going on. That's the limit, and that's pretty hard work, but of course it means that the cars have to sit in pit lane.
Maserati on its way.
Yeah,
they're a good stop. That was a very clean stop. Michael Barton slipped out very, very quickly.
So on his way, and let's see where the Lamborghini joins behind.
The Aston's jumped.
The Aston Martin has made a very good stop, hasn't it? So
it came in third of this pack and it's come out in front.
Yeah, Christopher Nygaard taking over from Stefan Mucker, and now the question is whether Christopher Nygaard's going to have the pace, because he's done very few laps in the dry. Meanwhile, the Corvette that was running second now rejoins. Now this is interesting. In the background, the Aston Martin and the Maserati are behind, but the Corvette has held on to what should be second. But look at Andrea Bertolini going down the inside of the Aston Martin, trying to reclaim the spot that he lost on the pit stop, and look how wide he's gone.
No, exactly.
Where is he going?
Well, it's so tight that that first corner, and as you get about within, I don't know, 10-15 yards of the corner, it actually drops down quite a lot. So the inside wheel literally is in the air, so you've only got the outside wheel to get you around the corner. So it's very, very hard. Good try, worth a punt. Didn't quite work out this time, but it'll be a warning to obviously the Aston Martin that you got to take care.
The Corvette is just coming past our commentary position. He's going to be in that battle for third place when he rejoins here. Look at that. Yep. The Corvette is ahead of him, definitely, but look where he rejoins.
Will he brake?
Oh, this is going to be tight.
Sure, he braked a bit too early there. Just didn't quite, he's lost air.
Oh, the other Lamborghini might get in front of him or not. He gets back across.
There, I think, yes.
Getting in front of Peter Cox there.
Of course, cold tyres. He's lost again. Oh. It's very hard. It's a shame. It's very hard when you've got these cold tyres.
Now, Aston Martin won't want to leave Thomas Enger out there too long, otherwise they'll be in for a penalty in the lead car. We're looking at the other Aston Martin. There it is now. The lead Aston Martin is indeed heading into the pit lane. Thomas Enger to hand over to Darren Turner, and there's no doubt they'll be switching it onto slick tyres once again for the second part of this race. Now, as long as this pit stop is reasonably under control, there shouldn't be any worries. They should come out comfortably ahead of the opposition. The Corvette still holding on to second, I think.
Yeah, well, this is going to be probably such a natural stop for these guys. They sort of drive together very, very often, and
sounds like the commentator's curse. This could be.
No. These guys, they practice it so often, and they're so slick, but so relaxed when they do it as well. So, from the driver's point of view, there you go, closing the door.
Mechanic with his aqualung on there.
Or slamming the door.
Quite like that.
Close? Yeah, it didn't close there, nothing.
There's the Corvette, which we assume to be in second place when that Aston comes back out, if they don't have any problems. Yeah, he's en route. Make sure he doesn't break the speed limit. Remember that he got done at Silverstone for crossing the white line on the way into the pits. He's going to be very careful, I hope, here. Yeah, behaving himself.
Absolutely. But obviously cold tyres. Darren's got to try and get up to speed as quick as he can without making a mistake, and of course these cars and the yellow Corvette in front are actually on warm tyres. So
is that rain?
That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
A few drops on the water on the windscreen of the Lamborghini. There's the race leader coming through, the Aston Martin. Second is the yellow Corvette. Third is the other Aston Martin at the moment, but for how much longer? Because that Maserati of Andrea Bertolini, the turquoise and black car, right behind him. Then the Lamborghini chasing as well. You can see down there, it still looks relatively dry, and that's just the length of the pit straight. Let's see what's down the hill. Here comes Bertolini down the inside.
They've got
to make contact. Christopher Nygaard trying to fend off Bertolini, but he's got him. Bertolini, surely.
So is he. Look at that.
That's the Lamborghini of Peter Cox taking full advantage.
Good old Peter. Yeah. Another wealth of experience. Watch them in front. They had their little tangle. Got the advantage and has got one place.
Well, let's take another look at the replay from on board Peter Cox's car, Johnny.
Yeah, well, they've touched there. And of course they just lose that momentum. This is sort of a downhill section. That Aston Martin, as you can see, it's wet on the screen, and those curbs are quite damp. So when the Aston Martin here, if you see, goes wide, then he goes onto that green there, slipping slide in. Of course, then he loses drive, and then Peter's been able to slip through sort of quite comfortably. Yep.
Darren Turner heads to the pit. So does the Corvette in second, with very little between them. What a crucial pit stop this is going to be. And it is just for tyres, remember. They've already done the driver change.
Yeah, and there's only 20 minutes to go as well. So this will be an interesting one. This is a great battle now for the lead. Both coming in together.
Now,
very good move on the Corvette's part to do that.
I wonder if anyone will stay out there and try and battle on slicks. The Maserati, perhaps?
Yeah, very, very possibly. The Sky doesn't look very healthy.
And what this means is Andrea Bertolini in the Vitaphone Maserati, lapping a slower car there by the looks of things, is going to be in the lead of the race now, but he's still on his slick tyres in these very tricky conditions.
Yeah, raining again.
There goes Darren. He's got his wets on now. And there is the car, still on its slick tyres, of Andrea Bertolini. Now, you said, Johnny, that he knows this car like the back of his hand. Well, he's going to need to in these conditions on slicks. Now, this is Thomas Mutch. What progress have they made? Well, he's up to 11th place now. Car started pretty much at the back. Thomas is second in the driver's points, remember, to Andrea Bertolini and Michael Bartels at the moment. Romain Grosjean has gone off. Let's watch from on board and tell us what it's like, Johnny, from his point of view at this stage in the race, running on these wet tyres.
Well, very greasy. This part of the circuit, I was saying, it doesn't look so wet, but it's still wet. Bit of a screech there. I'm not quite sure if that's from the tyres. But then as they come round this last corner, you can look at the track. It's getting greasy at this point. A lot of fighting on the car. Fighting at the wheel.
He's going past Warren Hughes, who's really struggling there. I don't know why.
Struggle. No surprise. Maybe
I know why. He's still on slicks.
I was going to say, he must be still on slicks. As the two, there's one of the Swiss Nissans. This is very wet. You can see this is where it's completely different. It's much wetter at this part of the straight, as we see the...
Oh, round goes the number 8 Aston Martin.
Yeah, well,
Christopher
anything, at least.
Oh, yeah, he just about gets it back on. Is passed by Nicholas Prost while he does it. Let's hear from Michael Bartels about this lead car.
Michael, that's a little bit of a gamble you've taken there, but it could pay off.
Well, it's only 14 minutes to go. This means around 6 or 7 laps, but the circuit can dry very quickly here. So in case there's no more rain, maybe it just in the end it's going to be okay for us. But in the moment it looks quite difficult because drivers with the rain tires are a lot quicker in the moment. But we see it was a gamble, but it's difficult to say the result now.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay. Right, well, it has changed because Bertolini's now been passed by both Turner and by the Corvette of Mark Henrici. So, as we thought, the gap in lap time has certainly come in favour of the cars on wets. But, as Bartels said, it might change back again. So, Bertolini's being sensible here. He's not fighting the positions that hard. And he's got another one coming up behind him. That's Peter Cox. But then there's quite a gap back to the next car, which is Ricardo Zontas. And there is our race leader once again. It is Darren Turner. What an exciting race it's proving to be. They might have started on pole, but it's not been straightforward throughout for them, has it?
No, not at all. Well, Darren has sort of almost got the pit straight lead.
We're on board with Ricardo Zonta, who's closing on Bertolini on his slicks. And is he going to go through before the chicane?
Not this occasion.
No, he decides to wait a moment. He'll get him next corner, won't he?
Probably get him out of here, probably, yes. A bit of drifting, wheel spin. As Andrea tries to get as much grip as he possibly can, but of course, dampness doesn't work with those smooth, slick tyres.
No, Zonta goes through. The other car, the Corvette, there is a lap down, so it's not losing another position just yet to that car. That's Xavier Marson just sort of getting himself back onto that lap. In the background, though, you could see moving over to the pit wall, Clivio Piccioni, who is trying to keep his wet tyres cool by doing that. That's why he's moving across the track, interestingly enough. Bertolini losing some more places, and interestingly, one of the places was to Thomas Mutch, rival in the Drivers' Championship. Thomas Mutch in the Ford has got past the Maserati, and also going past there is the number 4 Nissan, but that's way down the order and actually getting back on the lead lap, so that doesn't count for position. Bertolini, though, has dropped to 7th. Thomas Mutch has gone up to 6th. So this really has come to the Martech team with that Ford, and for Thomas Mutch, what's he doing?
Having a moment, I think.
Having a moment.
But this is where the conditions, as they went onto the straight, you saw the two cars sort of move over towards the pit wall. They've got wet tyres, and of course it's quite dry, so they're going to try and cool them off. And you saw Andrea stay on that dry line because he wants to have as dry a track as he possibly can. This is into the chicane at the back of the pits. And he just hasn't got any traction then.
Oh, look at that rain now, my goodness. Wow. And I tell you what, those boys on slicks are really going to struggle in the last couple of laps, aren't they? And Bertolini's already dropped down to 10th place, so the Maserati could lose even more places on this final lap. I don't know how much ahead. He was a little bit ahead of his nearest rival, I think, but could be further changes. The Corvette still holding on to second. Good result in prospect for Phoenix Racing, the local team with their bright yellow machine. Third place. Could be another very solid podium finish for the Reiter Lamborghini of Peter Cox and Christopher Haas, both of whom have driven really well in this race. Up to the last couple of corners, here comes English driver Darren Turner. A brilliant driver combination this is between the 40-year-old Darren Turner, the 33-year-old Thomas Enger. Both have delivered the sort of driving we know they're capable of. They are world class and they prove it with victory in the qualifying race here at the Nurburgring. Aston Martin takes the win and Thomas Enger likes that one. There's a big smile on his face. Second place goes to Corvette. Mark Enrici and Alexander Margaritis coming home in a solid second place. Some 10 seconds though down the road, and it's Peter Cox who brings the Blancpain Lamborghini Murcielago home in third place. He'll be starting from third on the grid for tomorrow's championship race. He's also picked up a few vital championship points. In the background, his teammate Ricardo Zonta finishes in fourth. No points for fourth in this race, but it's still a good second row starting position in the championship race is his. Congratulations to the young driver Aston Martin team. Young driver team, a German team as well, so they'll be very, very happy with that. But they won't celebrate until they get the job done on Sunday because they're still looking for their first championship race win. Darren happy with the way the car performed. Big thumbs up from the Englishman. So let's go down to the pits and get some reaction from our winning teams here at the Nurburgring.
Darren, congratulations. Now, before the weekend, you were quoted saying this is a frustrating track, but it certainly didn't look it like that for you.
No, it was frustrating with the mixing weather and everything else. The guys did a great job in the pit stop, not one pit stop but two. And the engineer, Johannes, he called a great shout because I was like, really, you want a box now? And he's like, yeah, box. Came in and it was the perfect call, so I'm really happy for the team. And obviously Thomas had a great start to the race. I mean, he had a bit of damage, but we still got the car to the end.
And Thomas, you certainly did avoid having to come in after that little bit of a shunt.
It was tough start, obviously, as I expected. Obviously, I wanted to avoid anything like that, and it wasn't my fault. But luckily, we get out of it pretty well. I'm really happy that the rain was so heavy because it was actually me who made the call. I said to our engineer, we have to pit him now because it's so wet, and we could have seen the number one car who was struggling so much and finished 10th position. So it's great. Darren did a great job. We got 8 points. We need to deliver 25 tomorrow, and it's going to be a perfect weekend.
Great. Cheers, guys.
Let's take a look at those results then. Aston Martin taking the win from Corvette and Lamborghini. It's the Enger Turner car beating that machine of Henrici and Margaritis and Cox and Haas in third. Another Lamborghini in fourth of Ricardo Zonta and Frank Kekkeler. Then the Hexis Aston Martin of Piccioni and Hershey. Thomas Much, though, came up to 6th place, and that is important with Richard Westbrook. The Maserati of Ramos Bernaldi was 7th. The Martek Ford of Prost and Gianni finished in 8th place. Aston Martin of Nygaard and Mucker in 9th. But look at who was 10th. The Bartels Bertolini car. And that has hurt them a little bit. Lamborghini of Schwego and Pastorelli in 11th. The Mark VDS Ford of Kuppens and Paltala finished in 12th place. Then we saw Hager and Muller in their Maserati MC12, the first of the Nissans, all the way down in 14th place, Wendlinger and Moser. Salo and Kuzmanen finished in 15th place in their Corvette. Hughes and Campbell-Walter were 16th in the Nissan. Ara and Nilsson 17th, then Marson and Menson in 18th place ahead of Martin and Linders. And of course, poor old Michael Krum and Peter Dumbreck, who had that first corner accident. We are at the Nurburgring in preparation for the championship race to get underway here today. We're all set to go. It's the 6th round of the FIA GT1 World Championship. The championship race offering 25 points to the winner as they head around the last corner. Who's going to get the best getaway here? Away we go then, and Darren Turner gets his foot down in the big Aston Martin, and he does make a good start. Behind, again, cars going every which way. Let's hope they can keep it clean. Down by the pit wall, one of the Lamborghinis. The Corvette in the middle trying to hold hold on to second place. Peter Cox on one side, Ricardo Zonta on the other on the Lamborghinis. And is there going to be contact? One of the Martech Fords going very wide there, gets back on. I think that was Nicholas Prost going pretty wide. Thomas, one off. We've got another Ford off. And one of the Maseratis, the Hager Maseratis, is it Alfred Hager himself? Yes, it is. And it's the number 41 Mark VDS car of Renault Coupons. Oh, so we had problems there in the qualifying race, problems again in the championship race.
Yeah, again, it's a very, very tight corner. Still cold tyres, not really up to temperature, and you just lose the car, and I think that's what happened there. A little bit of contact as to how both cars went out.
The Bartels Bertolini Maserati, I think, has gained a few places. Meanwhile, they've had a good start right behind their teammates, so that's been a good getaway for Andrea Bertolini. But up front, even better for Darren Turner, on board with Michael Krum here, as he's desperately trying to come from right down at the back of the field. Only a couple of cars started behind him after that incident yesterday. He's trying to go down the outside into the hairpin. That's a tricky one. Might work in the wet, but in the dry, he really needs to tuck in, and he does.
Yeah, he does. And again, we're coming up to this, the Schumacher S, very quick left and right, and Michael will be trying to get as quickly past those cars as he possibly can, just to get the places he needs.
Thomas Much, I think, gaining a place there, splitting the Lamborghinis. He's got between those two brighter Lamborghinis. Vital race this for Thomas Much. With the Maserati behind him, he can close the gap in the points to Bertolini and Bartels, who are tucked up behind their teammates at the moment. The two Vitaphone Maseratis, the turquoise and black cars, are running line astern, as you can see, but the rest of them all up towards this tight chicane, trying to get through there without hitting the curb too hard, and so far so good as they come around to complete the first lap.
Now, great for Thomas, and that's exactly what he needs for this championship. He needs to get as far up as he possibly can. He's doing that, and then when he comes to the handover to his fellow driver, then they're going to put themselves in a good position. So a good first lap for Thomas.
Aston Martin leads Corvette, and then Lamborghini. It's Peter Cox in third, Thomas Much in the Ford in fourth, and Clivio Piccioni in the Aston Martin down the inside of Ricardo Zonta, and he's made that move stick, and that was a very good piece of overtaking by the Monaco-based race driver, who's really adapting to these GT cars. On board with Thomas Much in the Ford GT here, and let's ride with him for a moment as he's keeping the pressure on Peter Cox through the fast kick up to the chicane.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can see on the steering wheel, he's been in, you can see actually the car on the outside, it's looking very good at the moment. You can see he's really good on the brakes. He gets a little tap there, I think gave him a little nudge on the entry to that chicane. It's just at the back of the pits. We're going towards the last corner, so hopefully he hasn't done too much damage. I don't think he has. A bit of a pass there, retake.
Yeah, that's it is a retake, isn't it? Zonta gets back past Piccioni, because we saw Piccioni get him at the first turn last time around, and so no change on the lap scoring, in fact, because Zonta comes around in fifth place, but he's still under pressure from Piccioni. What a great battle, Lamborghini versus Aston Martin. The Aston Martin to the outside with his lights ablaze. Will he go all the way around the outside? He's trying to. Zonta won't like it. On board with Zonta, corrects the oversteer, eases him out wide, and Zonta says, "You're not going to be doing that, mate. I'm staying right here." Let's take another look at the starts and see what we can spot here.
Yeah, there wasn't so much going on. The top sort of 10 cars, maybe a little bit more. Everything seemed to be quite clean. A little bit of jostling for position. We see there's a Lamborghini that will pop out in a second near the pit wall. There you go. But he couldn't get his way through. He tried, then he put him back. The Aston Martin's in front. And at the front, Thomas did a little move there. Just a little move. And the Corvette got very close, further back.
Yeah, that was the
where the touch is.
I didn't quite see what happened to the Ford. No, because the Ford ended up in trouble. This was Michael Krum's view.
Trying to go around the outside. Then the GT40 there. There's a bit of rub in there. There's a bit of a break. I'm not sure what happened there. We see there where there's a contact there. Yeah, the Maserati, and there was a Lamborghini involved as well.
Yeah.
So they just made contact. Just, you know, the track's only a certain size. You're going to need to get so many cars on that track at one time.
Piccioni comes again at the getting past the Lambo. Zonta can't fend him off
Great
this
move.
time.
And he's going to see, he may not come out as well, but he's gone on the inside for this left-hander. So the Lamborghini and Zonta have no chance really of getting back. But it's a great little scrap.
As you watch the Matek Ford of Thomas Much coming under a bit of pressure now from Clivio Piccioni. You know, Piccioni and that Aston Martin, the Hexis Aston Martin, is really on a charge here. He was fast in the warm-up. This morning he's hit! Oh no, has he? He looked up, yeah, did hit the Ford. The Ford has to go across the chicane, and that could have taken the championship challengers out of the race. They're sitting second in the points in that number 5 car, and that was almost disaster for them.
Yeah, well, he's actually lost out on the Lamborghini in front, so he seems to have lost a little bit of pace. Maybe there's been a few mistakes we haven't noticed, but he does seem to be dropping back, and he's still under pressure now, so he's having to go to the inside. And all this fighting that's going on is losing him time to that Lamborghini that's in front. They're getting through, running wide. Great stuff.
Let's take another look at this.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a wobble there. I say you may have been right, Ben. There may have been a tiny tap.
There's no
possibly, maybe
no visible
not
damage, but,
no, but
it did look as though he may just have brushed him, didn't it?
It's a brush. You only need a brush. You don't need anything else. A bit further back.
Oh, this was a separate incident, and off spinning went Xavier Marson in the number 11 Corvette. Michael Krum here.
Having a moment.
Now,
a few moments.
Did he get a tap from somebody there, or?
Didn't see that.
A little bit tricky to tell. And I think he'd got past that Lamborghini he's been behind for a while. But it's hard to see. There might have... Oh, and then again a bit of a rub there, perhaps.
There seems to be a few bits flying across the front of the screen, so...
Yeah, well, that looks as though Michael Krum's been...
there's bits falling off the Lamborghini in the front. I think it's on the right rear. There looks like there's a little bit of damage, so maybe they made a bit of contact.
Yeah.
Rightly so, Ben.
Getting a bit physical. Meanwhile, here we are. This is still Thomas Much in the Ford GT versus Olivia Piccioni. Oh, and again, almost pushing it through the chicane. And Ricardo Zonta's there too. Here comes the Aston Martin down the inside again. This is what he's done several times. And Zonta's locked up.
Having a go.
Oh, Much has been it. Oh, you could see that coming.
You could see it coming.
And that's
oh, dear.
Disaster for the points. He's passed by Andrea Bertolini, their big challenger of the points.
And that's a shame for Much because it was really out of his hands. I think Ricardo just... I don't know what he did, really, because I think it was a bit overly optimistic.
But there's Fred Makovicky. Watch that Aston Martin, the second of these two cars, really looking rapid. And we know how fast the Aston is down this start-finish straight. We've seen his teammate make some moves. Can Makovicky here do likewise, riding on board with him?
Yeah, and it's always been the top end, second part. And here we go, and then he seems to go. He goes into top gear, seems to be able to get close enough there. He swing out to the inside, down the inside. Looks as though I think he's done enough braking to be able to stop the car. Well, run a bit wide. No, he's okay. He's been able to get the power on early enough, and a nice clean move. Oh, we got a move. That was a late dive down the inside. Great move.
Oh, a bit of bodywork goes flying off the Nissan, I think. It was Bert Longchin in the Maserati.
That was more of a sticker.
Oh, was it?
I think it was so close, yes. Again, I think those three cars, they're all stuck together. And he was just able to see that bit fly in the air. A little bit of plastic. It looks like actually a bit of the glass. Yeah, it was. It's the glass on the headlight cover. So yeah, I think those two cars in front were holding each other up. I think the Nissan sort of held back a little bit, and he thought, right, I'll slip down the inside.
Actually, the Ford's got ahead of the Maserati there, so Maxime Martin has got ahead of Ramos in the Maserati. So he's the one who's just dropped back a bit. I reckon that Maserati will be coming in pretty quickly. Mark Henrici comes in then from second, but Darren Turner has stayed out there for the moment. So interestingly, the second place Corvette is into the pits. The Aston Martin leading the race stays out a little longer. As expected, the Maserati of, in fact, that's the other Maserati of Bertolini and Bartels also in on this lap. They're going for the earliest stopping opportunity as Alex Margaritis gets ready to drive the Corvette, and Michael Bartels jumps aboard the Maserati slightly further down the pit lane. There they are, and the two mechanics who are allowed to touch the car go to work to change all four tyres.
There we get the driver slipping himself in. Normally he puts his hands between his legs, there's a buckle there, then they get the lap straps, he clicks those in, then the other driver normally does the passenger side or the door side to click it in.
Corvette's got a slow stop there, I think, with a tyre problem maybe, or... Oh, they get going. It's not too bad, actually. They do get underway. They stay ahead of the Maserati. I
think he's closed the gap.
Yeah, that Maserati's had a good stop, hasn't it?
Or the Corvette's had a bad stop, one of the two.
Yeah, we'll have to sort of see where the Corvette is in relation particularly to the Lamborghini of Peter Cox.
And when Darren comes in, of course.
That's right, and the rest of them all heading out. Ricardo Zonta's car back out on circuit. Now then, the driver change. Sometimes this must be tricky if you're a different size, isn't it?
It doesn't help, you know. Normally you see sometimes the drivers do have a little bit of a sort of a cushion underneath them, because if one driver is slightly taller, then you need that just to sort of bring yourself up a little bit. Darren and Thomas are quite similar, so there is normally a change of anything in the car, just out and in, and there they go.
Thomas Enger on his way in the Aston Martin. Christopher Haas on his way in the Lamborghini, and I think no great change between those. It was a good stop by the young driver Aston Martin team. They did a pretty impressive job. There is the Corvette in the background, and look at the gap. It's much, much bigger. So Corvette definitely had a slow stop, didn't it?
Oh, definitely so. You know,
and the Lamborghini's ahead of it. Yes, the Lamborghini's come out ahead of it. Meanwhile, this is Fred Makovicky handing over to Jan Claire now in the Aston Martin. Fred has been flying. He's been one of the quickest guys on track, but he now hands over to his new teammate. So we'll have to see how he gets on with the Aston Martin. He's a pretty experienced driver, former F3 racer. He's been racing in GTs over the last couple of years, second in the GT1 class at Le Mans in 2009 in the Luc Alphonse run Corvette. So he looks up though, he looks up on his first visit onto the track, so that's not going to help him. And just about keeps the car on the island. You're on board with him. You can see,
oh, it's all over.
He is all over the place.
Yeah, you've got to be soft on the throttle. You don't want to be too aggressive, because obviously the car, you know, just understeers, oversteers, and it just then gets very, very, like we saw before, very alive.
No tyre warmers, so maybe he's come from a series that does have tyre warmers. He seemed to almost not allow enough for the cold tyres as he shot down there into that first corner. Now, presumably the tyres are coming up to temperature. Here we go. This is Peter Dumbreck, who's in the, I think, he had a bit of a spin there, did he?
Yes. I think there was a bit of contact before, and I think that just sort of made the car a bit loose and set him into a spin.
Last few pit stops to be made, and one of them is here. It's Clivio Piccioni who's going to hand over to Jonathan Hershey in the other Hexis car. And Piccioni's had a good stint here.
Very good stint.
Put a lot of pressure on, made some great overtaking moves.
Certainly has. Drivers are in, or driver.
And Enger continues on his merry way up front, doesn't he? Across the line he goes. Another lap completed and a time of 1:59.6. That was a good lap there, good first flying lap from Thomas Enger. Out comes the other Hexis, and I tell you what, they're in shape to take second place here.
But he's got on cold tyres, remember. We saw what happened before.
Lock up.
Still battling there.
Corvette trying to get down the inside of the
Not
Lamborghini.
quite. Is he going to run wide? A little bit, but they both run wide. There they are, really closed up now. So
This is for second place.
But he's just got to keep in front. That's all he needs to do, especially on this right-hander now.
Oh, Christopher Haas having a little look.
I think he just got that little bit, and he may be able to get enough power on. But that Lamborghini's right there now. So now he just needs to protect the inside.
On board with the
work.
Lamborghini, the 22-year-old Christopher Haas has
Down
taken
the
over,
inside, yeah.
and he's down the inside, and he's got him, but he bumps over the curb, and the Corvette's going to try and follow through, and he
He's
does.
there.
But they're rubbing as they squeeze through, and the Corvette is up.
He had a massive slide at the back there as well. He's lost out there, but it's very unfortunate, because obviously these tyres do make that car very difficult to drive.
Just watching Jamie Campbell-Walter and the Nissan a moment ago, I'm not sure they may have got ahead of the other Nissan that they've been battling with for laps earlier in the race. We'll check that again in a moment. They were down in 8th and 9th places. Meanwhile, this is still the battle for a podium finish. Now, what's this going on here? One of the Lamborghinis. Oh, this is Frank Kekela. Right, this was the car that had the drive-through penalty. I'm not sure if he served it yet. He may have done, but a big lock-up from him anyway.
Yeah, not the best thing to do with these tyres.
Now, I think this is that. Yeah, Jamie Campbell-Walter getting past.
It is.
Number 3 Nissan.
Finally.
And it's Henri Moser in the number 3 Nissan now, not Carl Wendlinger, of course.
Sure, but that's taken a long time for this car to get past its fellow Nissan.
Oh, look at that contact. Ben Oldie and Alessandro Biagini, the two Maseratis.
This could work out for Richard, hopefully, because those two battling each other. Got a bit of a drive out of there. He's going to quite do it. They're still down the inside. He couldn't get past him. Oh, that's a good move.
He's done it. He's got
Very
past
shrewd.
Ben Oldie. And as you say, he timed that to perfection. And spinning, that's the number 3 car of Henri Moser, the Nissan that was behind Jamie Campbell-Walter. That was just ahead of Pierre Guidi and Westbrook. So Westbrook's moved up one now because he's definitely lost a couple of places, if not more. Let's see what happened here.
Well, he got past by the look of it. That was into turn 1. He got past. It's turn 2. He's got his wipers going. Oh, a little bit of a nudge there. There you go.
Westbrook, that was. And Westbrook was up the inside, and Moser tried to sort of shut the door. Oh, and then a spin. Was that Westbrook again, or was it the other car? That's the other car.
That's the other car.
Right, that's Neil Yanni in the other car, who has had a spin. Westbrook getting a bit of a toe down the start-finish straight here, but he's not close enough, I don't think, to outbrake into the first corner. Cloud still looking a little threatening, but the wiper not on anymore. And there's almost an invitation from Ben Oldie there to have a look down the inside, but Westbrook probably sensibly avoided it.
Yeah, but he's good, he's close. He's closed that gap to what looks like, I said before, his favourite part of the circuit, so it'll be interesting to see this time. If he can actually, well, he's going to run wide.
There's a nudge.
There's a nudge. There's 2 nudges, I think there were there. Hey!
I don't think Bernoldi liked that. I think he
no.
put his foot hard on the power to try and get back at Westbrook and lost control in doing so. Real drama in the battle for second, third and fourth here. Don't know quite what went on. The Lamborghini's got a bit of damage on it. It went straight across the chicane. It's still in second. The Corvette is still in third and then chased by the Aston Martin. There's been no change in position. But Johnny, I don't quite know what happened there because it went straight across the chicane.
Well,
here comes Jonathan Hershey.
He went straight across, but it looks as if he's got some damage. I wonder if there was some contact going into that chicane. I can only think that's only one thing we can see, but he went on the fast.
Here we
there
are.
we go.
Replay.
Yeah, well,
this is what happened.
There's nothing hanging off, so there's a nudge. Yeah, there you go. Little pun up the back, and he has to cut through the sort of the old chicane because he had no choice, to be honest.
He'll probably be allowed to do that, won't he?
Well, it wasn't his fault. He got nudged through it. It's not as if he went through it because he felt like it. He got pushed through it.
It's
you
still
can see the damage
second.
from it.
Still in second place at the moment, that Lamborghini of Christopher Haas, the car is sharing with Peter Cox. Meanwhile, having caught this group is Stefan Mucker. Oh, we've got a car off into the gravel trap. And that's the number 38 Lamborghini that's gone off. And dear oh dear, that's Nicky Pastorelli, Dominic Schwager, and the other Alincourt guys seeing that. I wonder what happened there then. Have we got any rain down? Or let's take a look at this one.
There we go.
Heading down into the first corner, this is. He's had that damage for a long time, hasn't he?
A long time, yeah.
And now what happens? Does he lock? Oh, my goodness.
Goes the other way.
Locks a rear.
Yeah, it's a bit of a funny way to go. It never really goes. A puncture is one issue. A suspension failure is another possibility. Not sure. You don't normally. Obviously, they never turn left or right unless there is an issue.
Well, we've just seen on our screens a drive-through penalty has been announced for Richard Westbrook. So the race director has taken a dim view of those little love taps that he was making on the back of Enrique Bernoldi's car. Yeah, look, Martin Bartek, team boss, reading the rules there.
I don't know about bumping.
No, that's right. He says he can't find any reason for that, but well, they're going to have to argue about that afterwards. And if he commits, the other thing actually is, does he have a drive-through penalty with only 1 minute to go?
I'm sure that's what they're looking.
Or will they have time added to their race? Because that's the option. So the race director can, I think if it's within the last few minutes, then they'll actually simply add time to his race distance. So he may well cross the line on the next lap because it is the last lap. Darren Turner's looking pretty satisfied at the moment because Thomas Enger has only to complete this lap to take their first championship win in the FIA GT1 World Championship. Their teammate, Stefan Mucker, has just got ahead of Michael Bartels, I think. So there's been a change. So what a great day this is going to be for the young driver Aston Martin team. They have done it with style. Aston Martin win here at the Nurburgring. They take round 6 of the championship. Thomas Enger and Darren Turner are the winners. And there is a very useful 25 points going their way. And an excellent second place goes to Christopher Haas and Peter Cox in the Lamborghini. Lamborghini takes second. Third goes to the Corvette, number 13 of Alexander Margaritis and Mark Henrici. Then Aston Martin's 4th and 5th. What a great day it's been for the Astons. We've got in 4th place Jonathan Hershey, in 5th place Stefan Mucker, and Thomas Enger's going to go and enjoy himself.
There's a shock. Here he goes doing his little drifting burnouts.
He's loving it.
Oh, he loves all this stuff.
There is Thomas Enger. At last they've done it, and hopefully they get to keep it this time. Let's go down and hear from our race winners.
Congratulations on your first championship race win.
It is fantastic, yeah. Everybody has done a tremendous job. Car was awesome this weekend. We've won qualifying race, we've won qualifying, we've won the main race, and thanks to Darren, he did a perfect job today. Yesterday as well. I don't have words. Fantastic.
So you lost control of the car at the first turn there, just after you took the win?
Yeah, unfortunately there was some oil or something and I lost the control, and luckily nothing happened. Nothing happened to anybody else around, and I hope the people had a great show.
And Darren, a Bond-style finish there for you.
Well, yeah, very much so from Thomas there, but that's what he's like. He always showboats, and it's keeping him under control. But he did a great stint, and I'm just really happy for the team. Obviously, Silverstone we had the same result, but lost it a few hours later in the technical side. So it's just brilliant. Really good to have a result and a perfect weekend.
And this was the result then of the championship race. A win for Aston Martin, second for Lamborghini, third place for Corvette. But behind The other Aston Martins were all right up there. Piccioni and Hershey, Nygaard and Stefan Mucker, who got past Bertolini and Bartels on the last lap. Then the other Aston that came right from the back of Makovici and Claire. The Nissan of Hughes and Campbell Walter ahead of the Maserati of Longin and Alessandro Pierguidi. Then finally the last point went to Wendlinger and Moser in the Swiss Racing Team entry. Martin and Leinders in their Ford finished 11th. The other Maserati of the Vitaphone team finished in 12th position. But there you are, the big trophies going to the race winners, Darren Turner and Thomas Enger.
Yeah, absolutely. Worthy winners. Dominated really the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Wet and dry at the end of the day. So Aston Martin, I think, should be very, very happy with the weekend that they've had.
Now, here's the championship situation. So Bartels and Bertolini, as we say, still in control of the championship, and Poros Thomas Much wasn't really able to close up. But look at the difference it's made to Darren Turner and Thomas Enger. They were 9th yesterday, and they are now joint 3rd, and they are becoming a factor with this series, still with 4 events to go. Romain Grosjean, of course, not a part of the championship now, but Mark Canarici also gaining very useful points. Makovici, likewise. Margaritis drove in a different car at the start of the year, but going well on the Corvette here. Frank Kekelen, not so lucky. Alfred Hager also unfortunate. And Ricardo Zonta picking up a penalty during that race. Further down, Jamie Campbell-Walter and Warren Hughes did score a few points, but Peter Dunbreck and Michael Krum didn't. Ironically, the two Sumo Power teams are now all on 37 points. Look at that. But they are the leading point scorers of the Nissans. And Jonathan Hershey and Clivia Piccioni, they had a good result today, and they are now joint 12th in the championship. We've got more racing to come in the GT1 World Championship. Hope you can join us again next time. From Johnny Herbert and from Ben Edwards, goodbye for now.